There was this insanity about toys all of a sudden, always at Christmas time, so it seemed like a perfect, relatable idea.
It began with a toy being manufactured, and I was hooked right there.
With those two people being on a set and working with us every day, I thought that we could come up with an extraordinary movie.
It's hard to believe that everything my father used to yell at me about, sitting around reading comic books, watching TV, would lead to a pretty decent career. But as it turned out, that's the way it was.
There's a fantasy and a suspension of belief that that you can go into that world, and as a kid, there's almost believe it because the way these characters are developed.
The primary attraction of comic books, especially superhero titles to kids, is it gives them a sense of empowerment. They are not weak, they are not trod upon. They are the people who rescue those in mortal circumstances. And that's how kids want to see themselves. Basically, we were trying to find an amalgam of all the things that we liked about every superhero and smash them together and make Turbo Man that ideal.
And the boomerang suitor, and the rock and roll jetpack, and the realistic voice activator that says 5 different phrases, including "It's Turbo Time!"
Some of that was developed in script, some of it was probably developed as Brian worked with designers. It also had to do with storyboarding some of the action sequences and figuring out, okay, what do we need for this particular sequence? Well, a boomerang would work great, so okay, let's use a boomerang. Some of it came from Tim Flattery, who is a comic book artist kind of person.
I'll sit down with the director and producers, and we'll just conceptualize, what does he look like? What does he need to do? In Turbo Man's case, well, he's got to fly, he needs a jetpack. So I'll sit down and work with them just in rough sketches to begin with, going over ideas like how his jetpack might work. You know, how that mechanism might work, what the overall look is. Is there a big T across his chest?
Turbo Man went through a number of, I think originally he was called Turbo Tom, which was a funny name. We went through millions of names. I know everybody loved the name Turbo.
You know, the Turbo, or the Turbo Guy, you know, a million different variations on this before we selected Turbo Man and then cleared the name.
And once things start to click, then I'll start to refine my artwork. Then we get a little closer to the final look. Once we have it nailed, which you can see in some of my sketches, they start to get tighter, and then I'll do finished renderings so that things are described enough to build from.
With 1 foot standing on a building, hands on hips, protecting the city, flying through the air, vents and flashing lights so he would be seen at night, streaking through the sky, and take all those things together, and it really worked for everybody. And then came the hard part of translating a painting, a drawing, into something that could actually be worn.
Look, it's Turbo Man and Booster!
Turbo Man is a Turbo Man show, and Turbo Man was a guy called Dan Reardon who looks nothing like Arnold and is much taller and leaner. So we also had to do a whole separate suit for Dan.
Arnold's and my suits were essentially the same suit. I'm a little taller, he's a little broader, bigger.
Not only were we creating the star of a kid's TV show, but we were also creating a character for Arnold Schwarzenegger, the biggest action hero star in the world. And so there were so many different design considerations. The most important, that he be an iconic-looking superhero and that he's identified immediately as a great superhero.
We kind of thought, well, we'll just take like a tight body stocking and we'll just put it on him, because he still had an incredible body. But when you put the body stocking on him, his body went away. Suddenly he just looked like a big guy in a tight shirt, but you didn't see any muscle definition.
So we do a plaster wrap body cast of him.
You're almost not able to breathe, where you cannot inhale, where you feel really constrained, constricted, claustrophobic when they put this on.
They had these plaster gauzes that are heat sensitive. Once you wet them, they start to get very warm and then they harden. They had baths, plastic, like small bathtubs set up, and they had all these strips laid out, all ready to go. And they had 5 guys actually, one guy to wet the strips and hand them to the different guys, and 4 guys at once were putting these things on. You stand on a little pedestal, and then they just wrap you as fast as they can. And then you've got to stand there for, I think it's like 15 or 20 minutes. You've got to stand as still as possible and let that thing solidify.
But being the guy he is, it was a piece of cake. He's a complete professional. We did the body cast, set that up, and then start sculpting the suit on top of his body so that it fits him perfectly. So we sculpted the suit out of Chavant clay, get the design to the point where Brian can come in, take a look at it, and see the direction it's going in real life.
Well, just so...
Right on top of the pecs, you mean?
I mean, just look at his natural guy. Right in here, he's got a big muscle. We're not expressing that.
Okay. No, I have to say, I think it looks pretty
in here, and it's making him look narrow, though.
Then once we finish the sculpture, we mold it, do different molds of that, and do foam latex injections of all the parts. Then we have kind of foam parts of the Turbo Man suit. And from there, a bodysuit's sewn up over Arnold's body again and put back on his body cast. That all gets embedded into the spandex.
It was a little goofy in the beginning, but when Arnold got into that suit, you know, he's the ultimate superhero without a suit. So seeing him in it, you know, was pretty great.
Oh, I thought it was beautiful. I mean, it's a gorgeous suit, and you know, as usual, all this attention was paid to like comic book details.
Tim Flattery, who guided this from concept to finished product every step of the way. And I remember the first time that we brought a finished suit.
Brian was so busy, he's in the middle of shooting a movie. I had no, you know, we had 2 seconds to talk. And then they wrapped out, and I went back to my hotel room. I was leaving the next day, and he called me. And he said, "That's the best suit I've ever seen in any movie." And to hear that, you know, it was like, that made the world right. And I was ready to spend the 3 months shooting it.
Ready and action!
I put it on, I was Turbo Man. I mean, the rest of it was like, you know, he'd hired me to do the superhero voice and the chin and whatever, so we had that going already. But when you put on the suit, you're pretty heroic. I mean, look at it, it's gorgeous. It's like, you know, I should look so good. As an actor, you do different things to help you with your character. Me, personally, costume is huge. I can almost not even really know what I'm gonna do and then put on the costume or the makeup or a wig or whatever, a hat, and I know where I'm at.
Drop your weapons and release the first family, you twisted madman!
Who are you? Are you the guy? Huh? Oh, thank God. Hey, we got him, people!
Turbo Man standing there doing nothing. You don't, come on, Turbo Man, fly, use your jetpack. And then he'll pop.
Hop up, press the buttons, the things come up, and then there's this roaring, the engines start going.
And it's turbo.
It's turbo time! And then just go out, okay. Whenever you do a stunt, it's gonna be uncomfortable. That's why they call it stunt. You know, it's dangerous, it's uncomfortable, it's tedious work.
There were a bunch of suits. I mean, we had suits for stuntmen, we had suits for doubles. And the suits, you know, took a beating.
3, 2, 1, action!
So I had to design the suit to be shot practically. So everything had to work on it. Once the jetpack was designed, that had to be designed where it could deploy itself. Actually had working flames that came out of it. And we had to take in consideration that Arnold's wearing this thing, and you know, we're not going to burn him to death.
That's a practical consideration. And also, where does the jets emit from? And so we came up with the fact that this engages.
On the wrist gauntlets, the controllers for the jetpack were telescoping. So they would be hidden inside the gauntlet, and when you hit the button, they would telescope out into perfect position right into the palm of his hand.
And he presses a button, and whoosh, They open up and they fire on all 4 cylinders here, and it's up, up, and away.
And the flames would ignite at different levels. And bright enough to see on film and powerful enough to look like they have thrust.
Isn't it amazing how fast those things go? I love it. This is really fun.
I have a special delivery for you. Huh? Ha!
Also, we had the turbo discs that he would fire most effectively right at the camera. And that was a practical utensil there. Those were built so that the piece on the arm had to accommodate that equipment in order to actually shoot turbo discs out and to fire them manually so that you have a control on the bottom of your palm.
Underneath was a track that shot these discs, and you literally, it was cool. You know, they came right out of your glove, and you did this great disc shoot.
The turbo ring he would pull out, and Tim Flattery designed it so that it would open up on a spring and be ready to throw.
That was just a simple mechanism on a hinge that he pulled out, and he would just hold it on one side and flick it open, which is kind of funny because we went through a couple of them on set. When the time came where he had to use a turbo ring, the first time he grabbed it, it kind of, you know, he'd open it up and it would just break in half and it ended up hitting the ground. We went through a few of those before we got it to work.
And we would throw it, and usually there'd be a couple of people there with a blanket. So you threw it into a blanket, and they'd catch it because those things were expensive. And if it broke, well, you know, you only got a limited number of those things.
Wow. And those are all practical working mechanisms that today, a lot of that stuff, 90% of that stuff I just described would be done in CG, whereas when we did the movie, we built it all practical, and it worked. A big consideration was being able to incorporate a flight harness on him.
And that often involved old-fashioned ways. The best way to have someone fly is to put them in a flying rig, meaning that underneath their wardrobe that they're wearing a harness with picks so you can put wires, sometimes as thin as piano wires, and suspend them from cranes, and then hang them off travelers so that they can move across at a certain speed. And this is not easy, and it's dangerous. I got that feeling when I noticed that every time we did flying work, there was an ambulance present.
One of the biggest challenges was the flying element because I'm afraid of heights. So I was in a 50-foot crane, and then when they bring you up, they wind you up like zip. You know, it's like, okay, hey, it's gonna be wham. You're like, whoa, 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 whoa. You know, then they kind of realize, oh, where I'm at with it. Then they slow it down, and they're very accommodating. But in the beginning, because it doesn't faze them at all, and they know you're safely rigged, so zip him up. Yeah.
The agony of all this harness and the stunts and the flying around and banging around and hurting yourself and all those kind of things.
You'll come home, it looks like someone just knocked you with a hammer, like on both arms and your hips where the pivots are. You know, a lot of times you don't realize it, and it's riding up, it's cutting into your groin and cutting off the circulation to your legs, and what we do for art, you know. But then Brian would say, Dan, do it again. I'd say, gladly, for you, sir.
But the key thing is, again, and that is that you think not about the harness and, oh my God, how tight this is and uncomfortable this is, but about the end result.
I'd say, you know, aren't these killing you over here? And man, isn't it hot in there? And he's like, never complain, never explain. And then he just like walks away, you know. He leaves you with these little pearls. I'm like, I'm using that on my next date.
I can be in a harness for hours. You will never hear a complaint from me because it doesn't matter how we get there, how much torture it really is. What really matters is that it will be a wonderful movie, and you see me flying around as this turbo man from left to right, up and down.
What the movie was about, that you don't want to fail your kids. You want to be a hero for them. And that is what made the transformation of Howard Langston into Turbo Man and finally becoming a hero to his son. That's what made it all work.
You always worry when you make a movie, is it in 10 years, are we going to be embarrassed? Are people going to still care? Are they still going to like it? And This movie has held up, I think, really well.
It's always fun to be part of something that becomes a bit of Americana, you know, or a bit of the zeitgeist of pop culture. You can participate in that in any way is neat. It's not political, it's not violent, it's not, you know, nasty in any way. It's like, it's fun. I can't say it enough. If kids are liking what you did and they're excited by it, then everything was worth it.
The year was 1996, and one man controlled American popular culture. Every home in America was tuned into his TV show on a regular basis, and his merchandise was sold out as soon as it touched the shelves.
You know, there was a time when the Turbo Man show was a top-rated syndicated show in America.
Turbo Man was definitely the biggest thing that had ever happened to me at the age of 10.
His weekly primetime TV series averaged 35 million viewers per episode. This is the true life story of one man's remarkable journey. This is Turbo Man Behind the Mask.
I was 10 years old. I thought to myself, this character is changing how I live my life. I want to know if he's having the same effect on other kids. And so I went about creating the fan club.
I am Turbo Man. Good to see you.
Now, before I knew it, you know, I had officers, I had a treasurer, I had a secretary. The response was just amazing.
Turbo Man's popularity was at an all-time high.
When the members really skyrocketed was when that new toy came out, the Turbo Man doll.
There came a time when toys started flying off the shelves and the merchandising was everywhere.
Toy stores enjoyed record-breaking sales that year, thanks to the Turbo Man doll. But Turbo Man began to find it difficult to stay humble.
Turbo Man started to get a bit of a swelled helmet, and he became difficult to work with. At his personal appearances, you know, he was dismissive and often rude with the kids and their parents.
I remember sticking my hand out and saying, "Mr. Turbo Man, nice to meet you. I'm the president of your fan club. I admire you and everything you've done for kids everywhere." And he didn't shake my hand back. He just actually walked by me, blew me off.
Dickie Kaplan. Doesn't ring a bell. Next question.
Turbo Man's inflated ego took him out of the public's favor. Turbo Man didn't realize he had let fame get the best of him until it was already too late.
Every show has a lifespan, and Turbo Man's batteries ran out after a few years.
Turbo Man had difficulty coping with his loss in popularity. And after the cancellation of the Turbo Man show, the Turbo Man fan club quickly disbanded.
When I knew that there was no more Turbo Man Club, I knew that there would be no Turbo Man television show. Turbo Man meant a lot to a lot of kids. The show and the man, you name it, the toys, they had a chance to last forever. They were really making an impact on people.
To this day, I still get letters from overseas, from prison, kids saying how much it meant to them. Yeah, it's important to me too.
Well, you know, when I heard that Turbo Man had finally hit rock bottom, well, I was sad. You know, we had invested a lot of years and a lot of our energy and time into the franchise, and he was the one who benefited the most and ultimately paid the most for it.
When the headlines appeared in the paper regarding Turbo Man, you know, I realized, you know, my hero wasn't everything I had built him up to be. My fan club received one letter, I remember in particular, towards the end of its tenure. When the club was winding down, we received a letter from a young boy who had been in the hospital extremely ill.
Turbo Man was very insulting to a very sick child, and I couldn't take it anymore. And when he walked out of the room, I followed him, and we really had it out. And you know, he pulled the turbo ring on me, and you know, that was the end of our professional and personal relationship.
Yeah, I heard a lot of things, and you know, it absolutely had nothing to do with me. You know, it's them. I mean, these people want to lie. They want to create fabrications to sell papers. It was untrue.
In an attempt to counter the negative headlines, Turbo Man booked several small public engagements and introduced a series of consumer-friendly product lines.
I hear from time to time that he's going out and shaking hands and doing whatnot to make a buck. And he, went off and, opened shopping centers and laundromats and shaking hands on car lots. You know, it's not a dignified living. Turbo Man owned a small piece of the merchandising, and so he was always trying to find licenses that didn't conflict with the toy license, the lunch boxes, the T-shirts, the footwear, the sheets and things, and he came up with some very strange products.
I had another business that I also did, the famous Turbo clock. It's Turbo time! This was my new future. I was absolutely excited until the fire.
When the alarm went off somewhere, it burned a house down, some very serious time spent in burn wards as a result of that.
Now, the fire happens in a house. All sorts of electrical equipment is there. TVs, blenders, all sorts of personal devices. Somehow, it has to circle in to the turbo clock.
After realizing that perhaps the Turbo Man name was no longer an effective selling device, Turbo Man turned to his old friend Booster.
Booster's pet salon, where dogs get shampooed and cut cats' nails and things. Anything to take advantage of the name and the prominence they once had.
And this is the one that hurts me the most, because it's not about me. It's about that little guy who gave so much, who loved and loved and gave, and that's Booster. He was obviously from another planet. He wore that pink pride. He took what he had, his sidekick role, that little role, that tiny role next to the might of Turbo Man, tiny role. He takes that little thing and he turns it into a pet salon. Every other pet salon does the regular shampooing, nail clipping, whatever. We are gonna do the pink fur.
The dog was dyed pink. Half of his fur had been shaved off. I don't know who was working at this store, but he wasn't a professional.
Booster, well, there's a sad story. And, he kind of lives as a recluse in Soho. And, we get an email now and then. He says he's coping, but he's not what he was.
Yeah. It all started with that. And I've tried a lot of different things to bring that glorious, gorgeous super figure back into the eye line of America. Okay, maybe some of these things didn't go so well. Maybe they were ahead of their time. I'm gonna do some things. I've got some ideas, doing a lot of marketing. Don't want to go into it right now, but a lot of lines in the water. And let's just put it this way. Once a hero, always a hero.
I love superheroes because to me, it's like a whole nother universe. They hide their identity from other people because they don't want the people to know what they look like and who they are and stuff like that.
I like the fact that they can save lives and that they're always for the good and they're not going to try to hurt people or to kill someone like the villains are.
What heroes do on a normal basis is, help each other out. If they're in trouble, try and help them out.
I really want to be a superhero because they can fly and they have really cool powers that ordinary people don't have, so you'd be special and you get to help people, and so I think it'd be really cool.
If I was a superhero,
If I was a superhero,
I would be Mr. Mysterious. Because then no one would know who I would really be, but they'd be like, who is this person? Mr. Mysterious would have a bodysuit like a big black cape so no one would see how we look. I have 3 favorite powers. Invisibility, if like you want to go somewhere but you don't want to be seen, you could just disappear. Or you could scare other people and just jump behind them and be like, poof. And ice, because I've always wanted to like run on ice and slide through it and go through the air and just freeze things and make sculptures and stuff. And spikes, because I'm not really a good climber, so I'd like to shoot spikes through things and try and climb the walls or stuff.
My superhero's name would be Phantom, for he can run really fast. My special outfit would be like a silver, silky, but tight costume, and it would have his mask would be some sort of sunglasses, but it would hook like, it wouldn't be just like sunglasses because they just fall off if he's like flying or something. So they would like hook onto his back, like it'd be a strap and stuff, but it'd be all silver and shiny, so when he's like standing there, the sun is just beaming. He could run faster than the speed of light. He could run faster than anything. Like, he's like, okay, he'd be like this. He's like, wanna see me run to China? Okay, wanna see me do it again? And oh, he's really strong. 1 knockout and the guy's dead.
I like female action heroes because some guys say that girls can't do what they can do, but that's not true. They could do something that the boys couldn't do. I would definitely have an awesome costume. On my superhero outfit, I'd want a star on my sleeve. I would make it red because that's my favorite color. And I think I'd have a gold cape too. She would have it like the little underwear things with like the tights under. And like a tank top that has like my name on it that says Super Jackie, like right there. I like to fly up over the mountains. You can see a lot of things, like how pretty it looks. They say it looks pretty up in the sky. But besides for flying, I'd also want to have like ice powers where I could like freeze things and then slide on the ice, like snowboarding. Probably out of my hands, like if you want like that, and it just like shoots straight out. Like it'd be water, but then when it hit the ground, it'd just freeze. If I had like super strength or something, I'd probably want to like lift a car and probably throw it at things. Probably not people, but smash things and like maybe bully my brother around a little bit. Not like hurt him, but just make him scared so, you know, he stays in line. Girls could do what guys could do, and some of us could do things better than they could too.
My name would be Tall Puka Life-Saving Girl. I'd probably have like a white shirt, like a tank top, like a muscle shirt, and some white pants, like jeans that are white.
She would have magic pom-poms that could punch you out, and she'd save the world from different bad guys. It'd be so cool. And my superpowers would be like beams from my eyes and flying and super strength and kicking butt and stuff like that, because I love that kind of stuff. You gotta go super pom-poms, activate, and then bing, bing. If I were part superhero, I would be part dragon, and I would, fight the bad guy night with my lasers. And I would kind of talk in a microphone. He's a kind of superhero that he's a kind of good guy. He can turn invisible. If I were gonna fight a bad guy, go jump and flip and walk into a tornado and spin it, and it would throw me out. If they throw axes, I could even do it more. They could go through me instead of go in me. So I would die. I don't want to die. My name would be the Chickenator. The Chickenator. Yeah. Well, the Chickenator, I would wearing a chicken suit and a cape. It would say C, mostly a big C sign. And then I would have an oven on my back. And then after it has like the bling sound, I would take out the chicken, I would throw it at my enemy, and then when it blows up, it shoots out coleslaw. And then I would have a rubber chicken. When I pull it back, it shoots out corn, and then it will like stab it, and then it'll blow up coleslaw. Yeah, it will come out. And I would have kung fu powers and stuff. Be super strong chicken. Yeah, because I like chicken. Yeah, it's very good, very tasty.
I don't think that if there's one superhero that he's probably gonna accomplish it all, that he needs other people to help him. Teamwork would really help.
I'd like to have a team because I think it'd be fun meeting new people.
I'd probably want a posse, you know, because I like my friends. And it'd be really cool if we all had superpowers. We could do like flying together, like if we wanted to go to the mall, just fly there and hang out and fight evil.
I'd probably try having interviews with them, seeing how they are and what their how their powers are, if they're weak or not, and if they are, like try to get other like superheroes to try and help them get stronger so that we can be like one team.
I would absolutely love to be an action hero because I think that I could really make a difference.
Sometimes superheroes don't have to have, capes, powers.
To be an action hero, you could just be a normal person, but you know you're doing something good. Action heroes could be like a police officer, there's the fire department, there's doctors. That's really what a superhero is somebody who works hard to be able to save.
Sometimes action heroes can be like parents and friends, and close people to you.
Like my teachers would be my superheroes. Anybody could be a superhero.